So today's topic of discussion is communication and learning how to communicate when it feels like the hardest thing in the world to do. What I'm talking about is learning how to communicate when your mental health is on the ground, or you're feeling low, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or your brain's just so full, but you still need to find that little way to communicate. I've literally got the tools for you, because these are what I used and what I still use to this day. I'm Georgia, and I use my own mental health experience to help you to better yours. Lots across TikTok and Insta too, so make sure you're following to be part of the Be Kind fam over there too. Let's get to it. In today's vid, what I want to cover then is telling you what tools I use to communicate when anxious Anne is with me, or when depressed Dan was once with me, and so on, so that you can let the people around you know that, you know what, I'm not 100 today, but you don't have to go into full-on explanation, which you can't even do anyway because you can't find the words for yourself, and your brain just, you get it. I know, and I promise you, I know that communicating when your mental health is on the floor, or communicating when you're feeling low and you're in a crappy place, is honestly one of the hardest things to do, and it honestly just feels impossible. I promise you, I've been there, and I remember like it was yesterday. That's the exact reason why I want to do this video, so I can help you. The thing is although it's the hardest thing, it feels like the hardest thing to do, it is honestly important to communicate, especially to those who love you and who are potentially a bit worried about you as well. Another important reason why it's so important to have your little ways of communicating is because it will make you feel less alone. Okay, I know you don't want to be a burden, you don't want to put your shit on any other people. That's how I used to feel anyways. But by just letting people, so for me, in my case, it was my mum, my boyfriend, my bestie, letting them know with these simple little communication hacks, it just took the weight off me. They knew, they understood that, you know what, she's not 100, but I don't need to go into questioning, or don't need to go into fixing, because we're the only people that can fix ourselves, remember? There's just a whole lot less pressure to show up happy because you have to hide your emotions. Nah, none of that, because that's just, again, pushing the problems away. It's okay to not be feeling all right and to show that you're not all right, but it's also important for us, or you, or the people that you know, to still make people who care about them aware, because it helps you to actually separate your feels from you as a person. Again, I say this all the time, but repetition is honestly key to get our brain to believe in the things we want it to believe. You are not your mental health struggles, okay? If you're dealing with depression or anxiety, that does not completely consume you. You are so much more than that struggle that you're facing at the moment, okay? I need you to stop believing that. The thing I want to mention here as well is not everybody's going to understand, and that is okay. It's not your job, and you don't need the extra pressure or stress to try and make everybody understand, or stress that nobody understands anyway. Irrelevant, time wasting, and it's not going to help you to get better, okay? It's not going to help you to feel happier, to feel more content, confident, and so on. As we already know, as I tell you all the time, in order for you to feel all those good feels I've just listed, is within you anyways. We've just got to work out how we find them out again, and yeah, little bit of time taken, because you deserve all the time in the world. So yeah, let me get into this. It seems a little childlike, but I promise you it does help. And you've got to go and click on my social media to realise that I still use these terms now. And honestly, this has saved me in a lot of situations. And for example, in my relationship, this was something that me and my boyfriend would use as a code word during like social situations, family events, and all that kind of thing. One thing I need you to remember, right, is that although some of the emotions and the feelings you're feeling are so strong and so like prominent and just so present within you, it doesn't mean that anybody else can see that they're there, you know? So I don't know about you, but I was a bit of a pro with masking my emotions. We all are, to be honest, in a way. And a lot of people, especially the ones that were just around me and not necessarily in my pocket, like my bestie, my boy, my mum, didn't recognise, and would often say, really? I didn't know that. You could never tell, and things like that. So it's important, again, whether you're listening and you're watching this, to understand and help somebody who's got depression or anxiety or struggling with their mental health, or you are the angel that is suffering. Well, you know what? Let me finally tell you about this tool that I use then. If you watch me, you'll know about it, but let's just get to it already, because I've waffled and filled your cup enough already. The way that I separate my emotions, my feelings, my strong ass feelings back then and still to this day is by personifying the feelings. List the names and you'll get to understand. So we have anxious Anne, we have depressed Dan, we've got a newbie, which is imposter Ian, which is imposter syndrome, something that is a new feeling to me, but definitely experiencing it. What others did we have? They were anxious Anne and depressed Dan are definitely the main two. The other one that I like and that I've started to use a lot more now is Debbie Doubter. You know, all that little like inner chatter, that self-talk that can sometimes be negative and self-doubting and all that. We call her Debbie Doubter. All right, let me get into the explanation. I know it's silly, but it's so simple and it's so effective. And honestly, I'll give you some examples throughout where I've used them so that you can implement that and make your time with communicating, letting your closest know that you are struggling. Okay, so what it means to personify them, right, is we've given them a name. Okay, again, I know it's childlike, but trust me, it's just simple. Okay, but again, effective. When you give them a name, we're separating them from Georgia. We're separating them from whatever your name is. Okay, so yeah, I'm Georgia, but anxious Anne sometimes joins me. Yeah, depressed Dan, he's not always about anymore, but you get the gist, right? So what a good example to use here is that what I would often do is I would explain, so me and my boyfriend, I can't even remember where Anne came from, but we would use it as a bit of a code. So I remember really like vividly one time we was at a family like get together of his, and we were just walking in and he's like, "You're right, is Anne here?" And I was like, "Yeah." So, but I'm all right though. And all he was saying is, "Are you feeling anxious? Are you okay?" Because then he knows his little things that he can do because he knows that she's here. There was another time we went to a family party. He's like, "Is Anne here?" I was like, "Nah, not at all." So then he knows, do you know what? She's all right. Her anxiety isn't overtaken. It's not making her feel a type of way, blah, 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 blah. For me personally, me and my boyfriend, I don't even ever remember it being agreed, but from me telling him ways that he could like slightly help. So for example, if Anne was with me when we were going to a family event or whatever, then it would be for him to just be a bit closer, you know, check in a few more times. Whereas if she's not here, leave me alone, I'm all right, I'm with your family, my fam too, let me eat, let me chat, blah, 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 you know. So that's a really good example of how to use these little names, right? It's almost like a code. No one else knows who the hell Anne is. I mean, they do now to watch me TikToks, but it's so simple. And I know you're like, God, that's so silly. But when your brain is so overwhelmed and it's so full and it feels like, oh, it's bursting at the seams, it's about to spill out your ear holes, simple is the route we want to take. Okay, we need simplicity, and actually there's no explanation needed after that. I just remember so vividly, right, that when I was really depressed, when I was really low, and I first recognised, because for a while I was well low and down, but I didn't actually recognise it as depression. This was prior to the doctors or whatever. It would almost like consume me, and I honestly remember the feelings of feeling like, because feeling depressed or feeling anxious can be such a strong feeling sometimes, it almost took over my whole head and therefore felt like it took over me completely, and that there was nothing more to me than that feeling. If that makes any sense, or if any of you can relate, let me know. But yeah, using this method, although again, like I've told you 40 times, it feels childlike, is so effective, because you haven't got to come up and conjure up some big explanation about how you're feeling. Your person who's your support can just understand and do what they need to do to support you more without having to have these hard conversations over and over and over again. The more that you use this sort of tool, and the more that you refer to your anxiety as, oh, Anne's with me, rather than I'm anxious, I am anxiety, I have anxiety, you're reducing that label that you've put on yourself. You are not anxiety, you are just dealing with anxiety. Okay, it's an emotion separate to you. I'm Georgia, and I'm a loud, bubbly character, and I'm fun, and I've got this type of personality, and I'm completely out there, I dress bold, blah 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 blah. That's all me. A little part of me as well is that I deal with anxiety, I deal with anxious Anne. She's my mate sometimes she works with me. Again, another way that I try and make this more a positive turn on it, get your words out, Gil, put a positive turn on it, right, is that I'll say that Anxious Anne and Depressive Dan and Debbie Dowder are just 3 individuals that sometimes come for a sleepover in your mind, or sometimes come over into your house, your brain being the house, and intrude, or whatever it is. We'll refer to them as 3 really, really, really protective family members or people, okay? Sometimes they're overprotective to a point where they're actually not being logical at all. What they're saying is completely irrelevant, and they're just making you think all sorts of things to distract you from even daring to step out of your comfort zone, right? That's how I refer to them as, to keep my brain as positive as possible. When it comes to looking after your mental health, repetition is the strongest thing that is going to help you to get through it, okay? Repeating after repeating. And I'm talking about repeating the use of these tools, the ones that I tell you about on my YouTube, on my TikTok. Remember, these aren't just things that I've researched. These are things that I genuinely use to help me feel stable, to help me feel happiness more than I do lowness and all that kind of thing, okay? So you can trust what I'm saying is effective, because I've gone from being so low, having to defer uni, having to go on medication, not being able to sleep, crying through my days, to now having a helpful, supportive channel to support other people through what I went through. If that's not growth, then that's growth. Yes, I blow my own trumpet on the daily, because you need to feel your own company, your own biggest support, all right? And I will teach you, I'll continue to teach you to do that along the way. But yeah, we're not going to give up on ourselves. Remember the 3 of a kind that I spoke about a few videos ago. If you've not watched that, go and watch it. It's a great vid. But you need to be open-minded, okay? And within that comes repetition, right? Trust yourself that you can do a whole 180 on how you're feeling. You can make yourself feel better. A little reminder that not someone or something, once you get this, or once you get here, or once you get this amount of money, or once you have this relationship, or once this person starts doing this for me, I'm going to get out of my depression. We're not relying on anyone else or anything else in the future. We're focusing on now, just today only. Nothing that way, nothing in the past that way, just today, because that's going to get our brain back to a healthier place, a healthier space, a healthier home to live in. I have every single faith that using this little tool is going to help you by taking a whole lot of pressure off, okay? Another thing that I've got absolutely lots of faith in is that you are going to be able to overcome this feeling, right? Even if it's been with you for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, using these tools I know work, it's going to help you, all right? Promise you that. But what you have to do, that little part that you have to do, is to give it a chance over and over and over again. Understand that you're not going to go from depressed to happy and it's going to be straight up and that's that. It's not the way. It's not the way. I wish it was the way, but it's not the way. The human experience, it is normal to have ups and downs, okay? So don't put that pressure on yourself. If you have one low day or a few low days, oh, that's it, give up on myself, giving up, see you later. No, we don't deserve that. We're not going to do that, okay? So if you want to introduce this to your boy, to your girl, to your partner, to your fam, to whoever it is, go for it. All I want to do is do everything in my power and take everything that I remember from my experience, sit down and put it into a video, so hopefully somebody, just one person at least, will watch this and think, oh, do you know what? I can relate. Don't feel so alone now. Do you know what? I'm going to give that a go. If that's worked for that girl, she's no longer depressed Stan, got depressed down with her, and she's thriving, then I'm going to give it a go. That's what I've got for you today. Let me know if you use Anne or Dan or any other versions of them, because I love to hear it. We made up another one in my workshop. Motivational Mandy, her name was, because we're saying that she's not always here, even though we'd love her to be here all the time. I am in the process. I've got another workshop coming up, an online workshop for you to come and listen to for free. If you want to know more about that, sign up to my email list, which again is free, and you get a load of goodness in your inbox at least every Monday and even more throughout the week. You're always first to know things there as well, new updates, new things that I've got coming to help you along in your journey looking after your mental health. I'll give you reminders throughout the whole video, and the whole first section of this video was reminders, but you are honestly worth so much. You honestly deserve so much happiness, and you deserve to feel content. You deserve to feel good. Yeah, you don't deserve to spend your days mostly consumed over sadness and lowness, right? Anyways, I hope that helped just one of you. I'm sending you so, honestly, buckets full of love and strength your way, even though you're strong enough to deal with everything you're going through anyways. But yeah, see you soon.